Well, welcome from the basement of Portage Path. We're in the bunker today,
We are in the bunker.
and this is the first of maybe many editions of Dr. Phil Scozzaro show. And my special guest today, Carrie Price, director and team coordinator of our Pathways program. Today, I thought we'd start with a little introduction and take some clues from my favorite night show shows. One is David Letterman, the other is Johnny Carson. So we're going to start with a top 10 list here in a minute. But before we get going, I want to thank you, Carrie Price, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to take you back years ago. And a client once came to me and he said, Dr. Phil, I need a special treatment, I need special medication, and I need the most intense intervention you have. And I said, well, what do you have? And he said, I have double bipolio disorder. And I didn't know if we have to get an iron lung for that.
Right? It's a good question.
Double bipolar. I've never found that yet. But. As we move on, in the basement, a lot of people are confined to their homes. A lot of people have been laid off. A lot of clients are distressed because the routine is off. So today I thought we'd take a special edition to Distorted Thoughts, the coronavirus edition, I guess you would say. Is
I
that
like
okay?
it. Yeah, sounds good to me.
So I thought we'd start with a couple here on the top. The first top 10 is catastrophizing. You know, catastrophizing, the word catastrophe is an epic disaster. Catastrophizing is a verb, isn't it? And what happens in catastrophizing? An event happens, and right away I go to the worst scenario. You know, by tomorrow I'll be dead. Okay, that's pretty catastrophic.
Right. So we blow things way out of
Way out of
proportion,
proportion.
right? We make them larger than what they actually are, and we start to see things a little bit more intense than perhaps what reality is giving us when we catastrophize.
What a great segue into number 2, which is magnification. I take a small thing and man, it just
It's the mountain out of a molehill, right?
a molehill.
It's just this tiny thing, and I make it really, really big and almost insurmountable. I'm unable to get through it, move through it.
How many times in the past month has a person coughed or sneezed and all of a sudden, like, whoa, boy!
Oh, just allergies.
Yeah,
a cough,
they
just a
might
dry cough.
Minimization, though, that also can be a distortion, can it? You know, minimization, a person has an important appointment coming up, and they minimize it. It's not a big deal.
Right.
When actually it probably is.
Yeah.
A person has a meeting with a doctor, an attorney, or whatever it might be, a therapist. It's not important.
Right. We really underemphasize things that are important to us. So maybe we're having feelings. We're feeling a little scared, feeling a little, rightfully kind of out of our elements, and we make it less because someone told us it's not important enough. Instead of just owning it for what it is.
I'm glad you mentioned someone told us it wasn't important.
Right.
Because oftentimes we're talking to clients, oftentimes who have dysfunctional family, and in the dysfunctional family, what we know is a person was told your feelings aren't important. In
Right.
fact, even if you're angry, that's
Doesn't matter.
wrong.
Yep.
You don't have a right to be angry,
Yep.
and you don't have a right to cry, whatever. And that's a dysfunctional type of minimization.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Our good friend filtering is the next one, right? Filtering. I take that one little thing and I filter it out.
Yeah, it's kind of like the rose-colored glasses, right? We see things through a specific lens, and we keep seeing them in that vein. So maybe I'm the person where everything's being done to me, and I even translate some things that maybe aren't being done to me as being done to me. We really filter things. It's not helpful for us sometimes.
How about evaluations? You know, a person gets evaluated at work, or a student gets evaluated at school, and 90% of it is positive. Of course, what do we remember?
The 10% that's
There we
not,
go.
right?
Remember that 10%?
Yep, absolutely.
So filtering, we all do it, but it's important to recognize that 90% was positive.
Right.
And to look at that 10% as an area of growth. How can I?
Opportunities.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite is coulda, shoulda, woulda, and even the spell check doesn't like it, doesn't like it.
Don't should on yourself.
Yeah, don't should.
Yeah.
Should.
Shoulds.
What do we know about should, right? Shoulda done that. You know? that implies something in the past would have magically made my life better somehow.
And also implies that I'm judging myself for what I chose to do. That maybe I didn't agree with it, or I didn't think it was the best thing or something. Instead of just looking at it and making a change, we just judge ourselves and have no compassion for that choice.
How many times have we heard that? You know, I should have stayed with basketball. You know, I could have been an NBA. I could be like LeBron James. Yeah. Maybe.
I'd like to be like LeBron.
Like LeBron.
Like to be as tall as him, anyways.
He certainly is a very talented
Yes.
athlete. We'll put it that way.
Yes.
The idea of coulda, shoulda, what, doesn't it kind of a game of connect the dots though? If only I would have done that, then that would have happened. Oh, and that would have happened, and then it's kind of
It's hindsight, right?
Hindsight's 20/20.
Hindsight is 20/20. We always know what we could have done because now we're in the future and it happened in the past, and that's not helpful for us.
Great. We're coming up on some of my favorites. The poor me. And our friends in AA will call this what? The pour me a drink.
Yes.
The idea of the self-pity can be really a relapse trigger. What else happens in the poor me's?
I think we feel sorry for ourselves and we have a hard time moving out of that, right? And we start to see ourselves almost as being a victim of a lot of stuff. And it takes away our power. We're
Right.
not empowered to make change or to do something different. It's almost like we're a victim of happenstance or some kind of something bigger than ourselves.
Don't count on me
Yeah.
to be responsible. After all, I have dysfunctional, background.
So I have some excuses.
There you go.
Yeah. I can rely on those excuses, which again, not necessarily helpful, for sure.
The cousin to that is the why me?
Oh.
Why me? Why did this happen to me?
Oh.
It's a type of victimization.
And it's an answer that you'll never achieve, right? It's a circle. It's a cyclical nature that you just why? You don't get anywhere. And often if you got an answer, not gonna be happy with it.
Not really.
It's not gonna be helpful.
We want answers, but sometimes
Yeah.
in mindfulness we talk about being in the here and now. Okay. You remember back in the 80s, remember that commercial from Michelob Light? Remember, some days are better than others.
Oh,
It's
okay.
really not mindful, is it? The idea that today is going to be a good
It's
day.
a good day.
It's not magically going to be better because I consume a product or whatever.
Right, we're having an excellent opportunity to really try and experience the days as they are in the moment, right?
And we joked about that a little bit today.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being bored, let's put on a video
Yeah.
in the basement.
We're
That's
doing a
fine.
video.
And Emily is nice enough to help us.
Absolutely.
And we're coming up on my favorite, the pet me.
I'm gonna let you take this one.
Okay.
Okay.
The pet me was originated about 15 years ago, and I had a client who had several problems going on. One of them was legal problems. And he said, Dr. Phil, I have a bad case of the pet me. And I said, well, I don't know what that is. And he said, pet me. Look at what a good job I did.
Oh, okay.
Look at what a good job I did. And when he explained that, he said, now even if he does something that's expected,
Wants validation.
he made
for
his
it.
bed, he threw out
Ah.
the trash, I want a gold star. I guess we can all fall into the pet me.
Absolutely.
If we do even a household chore and we want to get the gold star. Right?
I
We
want a
wanna
trophy.
There we go. I want to get the trophy. I want to be the best or whatever. And it's like, well, you did your job. Wonderful. The opposite of that is what? Self-validation, isn't it?
Yeah. It's really working towards those internal pieces. And we talk about that in Pathways.
Mhm.
And if you've been with us in Pathways, we're talking about core beliefs, that those are your internal validation pieces, for sure.
Great example.
Yeah.
Another cousin of that is the fallacy of change. That somehow, if I do this, and this, the other person is somehow going to change.
They'll
Just
change
be
to suit
somehow.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll do what I want them to do to make me happy because I did these things, right? It's almost like an expectation that people, I think, fall short of.
How often have we seen a person in recovery, and when I say recovery, it could be recovery from addiction or gambling or just mental health recovery. A person changes and they notice, wait, people around me aren't changing with me. They're not happy that I'm getting better.
Right.
Talk about that. What is that?
So that is that confusion, that fear. When we do make that change, we expect everybody else to change, and when they don't do that, it provides a lot of friction, a lot of areas for growth, I think, for that person to really start developing boundaries and making things happen for themselves. Is there a specific thing you're looking for there?
That's great.
Yeah.
Great example.
Okay.
And of course, being right.
Ah.
You know, how many times has someone cut off the nose to spite the face?
Right.
You know, whatever it is, I'm going to prove I'm right.
Yep.
And I'm just going to keep at it and keep it. So finally, someone says, "Okay, I guess you're right," and he spent 3 hours convincing someone to do something when really all the person is now is more resentful.
Yeah.
It doesn't help anyone.
Just really trying to prove that their opinion and their actions are correct, right? They can't even tolerate the idea that they might not be right.
In a healthy relationship, isn't there a give and take? Isn't there forgiveness? Isn't there admitting, taking ownership for 50%? Okay, that was mine, I'm going to own that.
Yeah.
The other part, not mine, but I'm taking mine. And 50% is a lot.
Yeah, and it's hard to do, too. For sure.
Does anyone like getting criticized? Does anyone like admitting they were wrong? Probably not. I mean,
I
not really
don't
a fun
enjoy it.
thing
Do
to
you?
Not really.
I don't really like it.
Not fun.
It's but it's an opportunity for growth again, right?
There you go.
Kind of what we were talking about earlier. It gives us those chances to really make change and to see something different.
That leads us to our next top 10 list. And I thought, if we're doing top 10, let's do some positive ones too. You know, what are the antidote, as it were? We'll call it an antidote. I guess
like
that's time.
Yeah.
Somebody's-
Antidote works.
Okay. How about catch and correct? Now, many of our clients that come from Pathways will come to some of my groups or my individual sessions, and right away they'll say, catch and correct, Dr. Phil, catch and correct. What is catch and correct? What is that?
So catch and correct is the idea that you can't make change if you don't know what it is that you're trying to change.
Okay.
So initially you have to figure out what it is that you want to change, and you got to catch it. And then once you catch it, you can start making the correction. So if that's a distorted thought, if that's an emotional experience that maybe I'm catastrophizing or minimizing, something like that, we can start catching those things, and then we can make the change and correct it.
If I don't know what I'm looking for, I'm just kind of
Yeah.
blind, just kind of winging it.
Yeah, just trying to figure it out. Maybe. Who
Mhm.
knows, right?
Our good friend mindfulness.
Yes.
Mindfulness has so many implications. How would you define that to a person?
I think mindfulness is the ability to really just sit and to observe and to listen and to be part in the moment and to not get yourself caught up in a ton of different things that are happening, right? Just be very present oriented. I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good at it. It's
You want to
something
see
I
what's
struggle.
next.
Yeah.
You want to see what's coming up because you're a planner.
I need to have lots of things going on at once. Yeah. This is a struggle for me.
Can we agree mindfulness is a skill that we can all benefit from, and sometimes it just takes maybe 2 minutes of the day, maybe 5 minutes of the day, just to be present in the moment, observing, hey, today we got free vitamin D out there, it's sunny, even though we're in the basement, it's still sunny out there, we'll go for a walk, whatever.
And I think it's also important, like mindfulness isn't something that you have to practice in a chair, sitting on a floor. You could do it if you're
Sure.
taking a walk,
Yes.
if you're using the tow path, if you're riding a bike, if you're, maybe you are a bus rider and you like to look out the window and kind of just observe as things are going past. You can practice mindfulness anywhere. And really, it is a practice.
Yes.
I don't think there's ever anyone that's perfected it. It's certainly not me.
Well, that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
A client once walked out of the building on a winter day, it was Friday, and it was closing up, and it had started to snow, and I thought he was gonna get upset, because I was kind of bumming out. I said, well, I have to drive home in the snow now. I was kind of grumbling a little bit, and he looked up, and I said, what are you so happy for? And he said, well, look at the beauty in the snowflakes falling down. And he said also that he was happy he bought a plow that year, so he was gonna make some money. So he was mindful of the moment
But also,
instead of complaining all the time.
but also grateful for it, right?
You
Which
got that
is your
right.
next,
Yeah,
next
good
one,
segue
right?
into gratitude.
Yeah, being grateful for the things that are happening in the time that they're happening, which is definitely something we can practice right now, for certain. And I know it's something we practice in Pathways every day. It's a struggle to identify one thing that people are grateful for, but we do practice it. We try.
Am I grateful that somebody checked up on me today? Somebody sent me a text, are you okay? And families, and my mother, who is 87 now, several neighbors have checked in on, which is nice, in addition to my daughter and my brother as well. But that's nice to have someone check in on, and how are you doing? So, how many of our clients, when we call them now, they'll say, how are you doing? Which is nice.
It's kind of flipping the script for me.
Yeah.
Asking me how I'm doing.
How are
like,
you doing?
okay.
You're a person.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's very kind of them.
A daily reflection can be done in the morning or evening, really doesn't matter. A lot of religious practices like Buddhism or certain Catholic orders or Protestant orders, different faith communities have a routine, maybe 7 days a week, Muslim as well, maybe 7 times during the day where they reflect and meditate. It doesn't have to be 7 times in a day, but I think that daily reflection, the beginning and end is good. What are some goals in the morning? What are some
Maybe
things
some
I'm grateful?
journaling.
There you go.
You can do some journaling to help set things out for yourself for the day, and then at the end of the day, maybe do some reflective journaling on if I obtained those, were there some barriers, what were some things I could change or do differently. All of that could be a part of some reflections, daily reflection.
The reason I like daily inventory is because I have no control over 5 years from now, do you?
Right.
I know.
I haven't
Maybe you
figured it
do.
out. Not yet. I haven't figured it out yet.
Today, a little more-ish, not fully, but 24 hours is easier to wrap your head around a little better.
Yeah, I'm grateful that we're here, grateful we're able to do this, really reflecting on those opportunities that we have. Even though they're different than 3 weeks prior.
You got that right.
For certain.
Yeah. And of course, meditation. Meditation is a part of mindfulness. It doesn't have to be, but meditation is not anything mysterious. It can be as simple as letting the mind go blank. There's different types of meditation. Some meditation asks you to reflect on a certain theme, like gratitude or forgiveness or love. Those are fine. And other types encourage a person to empty the mind. If you empty the mind, you'll have a full one. So that's kind of more of the Eastern philosophy.
Again, and not one I'm good at. So I probably avoid it, but ask people to try it.
Some people, meditation is putting down the phone or turning off the TV or putting off go screenless for a little while. That's meditation for some people. Just to kind of.
Okay.
And of course, breathing. That's something we take for granted too. Sometimes we get that shallow breathing that can cause anxiety, but have that deep breath, that deep breathing is just modeled there for us. Deep breath. Many of our clients have taken up walking in my little block where I live. Man, the whole neighborhood was out just about. Of course, within social distance wise.
Sure.
Just walking, and it's good for blood pressure, it's good for mindfulness.
We have some of the best parks in that area,
We have
in the
excellent
country.
metro parks here.
We have the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. We've got the Tow Path. Tons of places for people to walk. Just avoid the geese. They're out in hordes, but lots of beautiful places to walk and things to see.
The geese are seasonal, so once again with mindfulness, be grateful that we get to see them now and then. They're not here all year round.
I mean, yeah, all right. I like looking at the turtles and the herons. I've seen the herons too.
They're cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the basic things like eating and sleeping, sometimes we can forget those in times of stress. And the person stays up all night, and of course they're sleeping during the day, and they get out of the diurnal schedule.
Right.
That's usually not great.
And they like to convince themselves that it's okay to stay up all night and sleep maybe an hour during the day, which is actually not helpful and can exacerbate mental health symptoms for sure.
Somebody who's diabetic, and they thought, well, I can't go anywhere. I guess I can go off my diet or my routine, but that's not great, and we can all fall into that.
Yeah, routine helps you identify your symptoms and when they maybe start to go off the rails a little bit, so you can help control them, and maybe intervene when you need to, for sure.
What do we know about addiction? Addiction is sometimes defined as something that gets off a healthy routine, gets a person off a healthy routine, and everything becomes about whether the drug or gambling or sex, whatever the addiction might be, everything spins around that. So it's really the tail wagging the dog.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Would agree with that.
Control the controllable. I made some examples there.
Junk.
The junk drawer. It's an example. Emily said, give some examples. Everybody have a junk drawer at home.
Yeah, I do.
And sometimes
too
that junk
many.
drawer gets filled, and sometimes you end up having 2 or 3 junk drawers.
Yeah,
Why do we even call it a junk drawer?
it's an excuse to
Well,
throw stuff in there
stuff.
and not have to organize.
No,
Stuff that you maybe don't use often.
no. You
Your
have
scissors,
batteries that are probably dead.
batteries,
You know,
covers to cups or mugs. I don't know. All kinds of random things will be in there.
we could either recycle or repurpose or donate, or sometimes you just gotta chuck them because you're just kind of cluttering.
Yeah. One of the things we've talked about is mail. Anyone have
Mhm.
piles of mail just
Yep.
laying around?
Yeah.
And really just finding a way to get rid of the what would you call it? The mail you don't need. I can't think of what that's
Junk
the
mail.
junk mail.
Yeah. It's
Get rid of the junk mail and maybe even go through the stuff that everybody's trying to get you to buy something,
Mhm.
you know, and that can make you feel better, just controlling that stuff that feels uncontrollable. Right?
Yeah. How about a project at home? You know,
Ooh.
one of the funny shows on TV is Modern Family, and they always come down the stairs, and that one step is always a little shaky. Sometimes it even broke,
Oh.
and some people just fall through it now and then. It's kind of a funny, you know. From the movie Wonderful Life too, George Bailey always grabbed the railing, and the thing always came off. Those are things to fix.
Yeah.
You know, those are smaller projects you should probably attend to, especially if it involves safety.
And when you have the time to do it, which we
Yeah.
kind of have the time right now to do some of this
How
stuff.
often has a person said, gee, I just need like a solid day or an afternoon just to clear out this one room because it's dusty, it's got cobwebs, it's got stuff that is irrelevant.
Absolutely.
Donate.
Absolutely. Go through my stuff, for sure.
The safety, that's the idea of control the controllable. We don't have control over whether the nation of India is going to quarantine 1.3 billion people.
Oh,
I've never seen a billion
Okay,
people. I don't know what that means.
I can't even conceptualize that.
Now,
Yeah.
80,000 going to a football game, I understand what 80,000 looks
Okay.
like.
I can't imagine.
A billion? I don't even know. Yeah, don't know what that means or what it would look like.
I was unaware they were even going to quarantine it, so okay.
Yeah,
That's a thought.
that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Way more than here in Akron.
You remember? Speaking of history, I recall back in 2010, remember they had the oil leak
Oh,
in
yeah.
the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
Talk about catastrophizing. I remember there was a show on the news, the guy had a map of the Gulf of Mexico. Well, this is one of the models.
And it like spread out through the entire
It was
Gulf,
black.
right? Yeah.
The entire
Yeah.
Gulf of Mexico was black. And well, you know, after that, you never know what could happen. Okay, talk about catastrophizing.
Right.
And talk about control. Like, I have no knowledge of fixing
An oil leak,
An
yeah.
oil leak in the
Yeah.
Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
So that's an example of a catastrophe where sometimes the news can kind of,
Exacerbate.
if it bleeds, it
yeah.
leads kind of
Yeah.
thing, like, oh boy,
Yeah.
this might happen.
Right.
And for many of our clients, it's vulnerable. And for us too, you know, we're people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Of course, humor, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if anyone has hung out at Portage Path long enough, you know, we like to crack jokes now. Humor's the best medicine, isn't it?
Dr. Phil has the best jokes.
Well,
I enjoy them. I was looking at the last one here. Sorry, you go ahead.
no. And humor doesn't have to be a great joke either. It could be corny.
Or the dad jokes. We call them the dad jokes.
How does a kitten like a steak, Carrie?
I don't know. How does a kitten like a stick or steak?
Steak.
Steak. I don't know.
Rare. Had to
See?
throw that one in there.
But it's funny.
You're nice. It wasn't very perfect. was it?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
the
That was-
puns are gonna keep coming
Sorry.
now.
Couldn't resist. Emily and I were talking about things that people used to do for entertainment prior to screens and internet.
Oh, yeah.
Storytelling is a big one.
Absolutely.
And our clients like telling their stories,
Mm-hmm.
and that's important. you can learn a lot about a person when they tell a story.
And I think you can find a lot of outlets online too that are storytelling. I know that I have
That's a
a
good point.
colleague of mine that actually runs a storytelling kind of an open mic in the area, and
That's cool.
they record it. So for sure, you can definitely look that stuff up, and you can learn more. You can even do it yourself, or you can just do it, read it. Whatever works.
Excellent. Another thing we used to do is rank the top albums of all year. The top 10.
I can't. No
Another
one wants to
top
know
10
anything
list.
about the music I listen to. So this will be yours, Dr. Phil.
My neighbors and I have a debate as to what album should be on the top 10.
Okay.
So,
What's
I
one for
can-
this year?
I can think of Sgt. Pepper from the Beatles.
Oh, of all
Yeah,
time.
of all time.
Okay, well that I might be able to get in on, but if it's modern music, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be very
We
good.
could maybe make one. Maybe we'll take a
Maybe
poll
we'll do
on the
that,
web.
yeah.
Because
Let us know. Let Emily know what you think should be one of the top albums of all time.
luckily, my daughter introduced me to Post Malone.
Oh
And
wow.
I had no idea who Post Malone was. Apparently, he is a musician. He has some good. Yeah, his
He is
music
a
is very
musician.
good.
He's a very interesting
he's-
character.
we'll go with
Yeah.
interesting. He's
Yeah.
got a lot of tattoos. And
Absolutely.
his song Circles is about unrequited love. Kind of interesting. Yeah, that's very, very good. Yeah,
As you can see,
about
Dr.
that.
Phil and I are showing our age because we're saying top albums of all time.
Yes.
I don't even think
Do people call them albums
I don't
anymore,
think
Emily?
so.
Do people call them albums? We'll have to ask Emily. That'll be a special topic, I think.
Okay.
Music and how music can be therapeutic.
Okay.
And I was telling Emily that years ago, when I was at another agency, on Friday afternoon we would have what's called a rock pile, and this is showing how long ago it was. We brought in cassettes, and we just sat around the old cassette player. Everyone would bring a different song, just kind of play their favorite song. Now we got Spotify
Yeah.
and Pandora, which is electronically easier, but I like cassettes. And
Oh,
talk about how that
Yeah.
song meant to you. What did it mean to you? And just reflect on it. Not judging per se, but
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was a work to get to that song. You had
Yeah.
to stop and play and
Mhm.
back it up, and yeah, I can dig it.
one of my favorites is CCR,
Oh, a little
John
Creedence.
Fogerty.
Yeah. Okay.
and his song about rain.
Okay.
And have you ever seen rain
Mhm.
falling down? That's a mindful song right there.
Absolutely.
And, the beauty of it.
Mhm.
Reach out and connect. Helping a neighbor and helping someone, and it could be something small. It doesn't have to be a heroic thing. We always want to somehow make it a epic thing. It doesn't have to be an epic thing. It's like, how you guys doing? Do you need anything? I'm going to the store, whatever.
I take my neighbor's garbage cans down
That's
to the
nice.
curb and take them back up because they're both unable to do so for
Okay.
various reasons. So something little like that can be helpful. It
That's
doesn't
a
have to be
huge
huge.
thing. No, that's a huge thing, especially if it's icy, whatever.
Mhm.
If you have an elderly neighbor, that's very daunting
Mhm.
to move a trash thing when it's icy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's the list.
We went through 2 lists, and I can think of several other lists. So hopefully, if we do end up in the basement, in the bunker again, we'll do another video.
We could do that.
But we'll maybe make a series of this, even when this
Okay.
whole thing is come and gone. But it's been great having you as my guest.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Phil. I'd shake a hand, but I'm holding a mouse.
Yeah, that's right. We're practicing our social distancing. We'll do an
Absolutely.
elbow, I guess.
We can elbow.
Oh, okay. Elbow. There you go.
Okay. All right.
Emily, thanks she's our producer / director. And
Thanks, Emily.
visit our website, by the way. A little plug for our website. Hey, even though we're in the bunker, we're still communicating with clients. You can still have psych evals done. You can still have therapy sessions done. If you're a client who's watching this and you said, gee, my therapy session isn't until May 15th, call me, call your therapist.
Call us.
We will, every
We'll get you.
therapist is on call, as it were. Some of us are in the building having sessions over the phone, telehealth, totally legit. It's all, it's great. Some clients actually like it.
Uh-huh.
And so that's an option as well. Not to mention, our website is really cool, our new
Yeah.
website. And there's a lot of success stories there. There's some videos, I think. And there's some artwork too. Check out our artwork. And a little plug for our website.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Carrie. Thanks, Emily. Until next time.